Okay, now I'm going to show you how to do a super simple rig. First, I want my pencil positioned a little bit differently. I'm going to select it, tab into it, make sure I select all, type G, and then go along the Z by typing Z, and left click, Shift B, and then do it again, type G, Z, let's move it right there. That makes me feel a little bit better. Now let's select these lamps, we'll bring these up. And I'm going to now do Shift S and say cursor to center. So now it's in the center, and I'm going to add Shift A, add an armature with a single bone. And I'm going to tab into the armature. Oh, I'm going to also click on the armature button here and say let's make that X-ray. Let's show the names. This is called bone. And then I'm going to right click on the tip of the bone and drag that out, and while I'm dragging it, hit Z, and then I'm going to hit E to extrude out again and type Z. I'm going to make these stick bones so it's a little easier to see the pencil. So now I'm going to tab back into object mode. I'll zoom in so you can see that that sure enough is selected still. But I'm going to right click on the pencil to make it selected, and then shift right click on the bones so that they're both selected, but the bones, the armature object, is the active object. I'm going to do Control P, and I'm going to say parent it with automatic weights. Now I'm going to switch to pose mode. I'm going to right click on the bone and test. See, it didn't parent it exactly the way I expected. That looks alright. I don't know what happened elsewhere, but this gives me an opportunity to show you some weight painting. So I'll right click on this bone, then I'm going to right click on the object. For the object, I'm going to switch to weight paint, and this bone will affect the wherever blue is unaffected. So a lighter blue has some effect over here. So let's open our tool shelf, and we're going to bring our radius up. There, it's really affecting it. We don't want that. We want to set the weight down to 0 and paint with a 0 weight to make that blue. And then let's look at it. Control 1 from the back. Make sure it's not selected there. Now we'll set the weight for this bone back up to 1. If we were to rotate it, you'd see it bending there. Let's go to the Control 1 to the back. That's nice, it painted all the way through. Then let's rotate this bone. It's affecting things I don't want it to be affecting. So it should be affecting this area, so I'm going to paint while I've got the strength up. There we go. And then Control 1 or 1 to bring it on the other side. And I don't want it affecting down here. Was that a sentence? I don't want it to affect this area down here. So let's just paint that. Alright, and there's something else going on here. Let's make sure that our armature is first. We added it and it's last. So let's move it up by clicking this arrow. And click it again. That looks a lot better. Kind of. Also, I want it to preserve volume. Actually, that looks better. So what's wrong here? Well, what's wrong is our geometry. So let's tab in. And we have no breaks here. We want some breaks, but we don't have any. So I'm going to do Control R. Put a break right in the center here and then hit Escape. And then I'll tab back out of it. You'll see, oh, now we're getting a nice bend across here. And that's okay. If you want more than that, you can add more ring loops. So now let's paint. Oops, that was 0. There we go. And just because I'm paranoid, I'm going to look at both sides. And then I'll click here. I want this bone to affect this down here. I'll flip both sides. Alright. So and we can give these bones a little bit better name. Let's type N. And N's not going to do it. Let's go over to the bone panel, but we're actually, look at, what do we have selected? The plane. What's the plane? That's our pencil, because I haven't renamed that yet. Let's and then tab out of this. Oh, we're in edit mode. We don't want to tab out of that. Let's switch to object mode. See, the pencil is the one that's selected. Let's select the armature. Now we get our bones. So let's call this eraser middle, and let's call this I'll say lead, because it's the lead down here. Hi. So that's looking pretty good. This is not how we want our pencil to be at the moment, so let's do select all, Alt R, and that'll clear our rotation for the moment. What we want to do is, now that we've got it weight painted, we will animate it next. But first, save. Let's animate the pencil. First, I'm going to hit one on the number pad so that I'm back looking at it from the front. In fact, how if I hit 3 and look at it from the side? Now this explains a lot as to why the bones did not line up right and we had to do the weight painting. So here's an opportunity to fix this. So let's tab into here, and you can see that the geometry is not the little orange dot. Let's look from the side, tab out again. See how the orange dot is way over there? That's not good. So what we want to do is say, tab in here, select all, and let's move this over here, Shift B, Shift B again, and then period on the number pad, which we're still deciding if that is indeed the decimal point. And now we should still be fine with our hit escape, right click, and this, woohoo, escape. Alright, so we've keyed the location. No, we didn't. So let's type I, key location, click around frame 10, type G, and let's move this. Type I to key the location again. Click on frame 20. Let's move over here. And actually, let's do Alt G. And then type G and Y. Click, so that way we're exactly at the same level as when we started. Type I to key the location. And now we can scrub back and forth. If we click right on the keyframe on 20 and then just hit E, our animation is now 20 frames long, this area. And we can type Alt A. And there we have a very simple jump. So let's go ahead and save that. Alright, we have a simple jump. Let's make it better. To do that, we're going to switch over to the animation screen. And I'm going to look at this from the side by hitting 3. Make sure it's orthographic. I'm going to zoom in again. And now, over here we have a dope sheet. You can mouse wheel in, middle mouse button to bring over, or do Shift B. Just like when you're editing with objects or the mesh, you can edit these keyframes. Similar commands. So you can see we've got some keyframes for just the lead bone. But what we're going to do is we're going to switch to the action editor. You could see that in the dope sheet here, it was showing that this is an armature action that we're looking at. Let's actually look at the armature action just by itself. I'm going to rename it and call it jump. What I'd like to see is some anticipation. Before we just fly into the air, have the pencil bend back a little bit, and then spring forward into the air, hit the ground. And to do that, I'm going to start out by making sure that I've keyed the rotation for all the bones so that this is our base state. I'm going to type I and then add the key for rotation here. Now location is going to be determined by this bone for what we're doing. So we only have to worry about location for here, but location and rotation. But for the rest of these, we just have to worry about rotation. So we start out in this state. A to deselect keyframes, B to get our selector, boundary selector. And what I'm going to do is do Shift D to duplicate. And drag these out. The orange bar means that there's no change from this keyframe to this keyframe. Let's move our playback head to frame 5. And now let's rotate back, right click on the bone, type R to rotate, right click, R, right click, R, and we'll scrub. So notice, one thing I didn't do was I did not key the frame. So let's do that again. Right click R, right click R, click R, A to select all the bones, insert a keyframe, rotation. Now there is a button here I could click record, and anytime I make a bone change it'll record it, but it also includes extra data. It includes scale, location, rotation. No matter whether you not have changed it, if you just change one little thing, it'll key all those other things as well. So I'm just going to keep that off. So now let's scrub again. Go back. And then we want to spring forward before we actually go into the air. So now I want to keep my location the same. So I'm going to duplicate these keyframes again. We're going to need some more room. All I'm doing is using the editing commands like we've been doing. A to select or deselect, B to grab that selection rectangle. So now this is exactly the same on frame 9. Let's say that he is rotating like this. Select all, key the rotation. Notice the location has not yet changed yet. Now we go into the air. When he goes into the air, I'd kind of like him to wobble forward a little bit, like that. So we change those two bones. I'm going to key the rotation change. So let's see how that looks. And then he comes down, 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 bang. Now he hits the ground. I'm going to, just for my sanity's sake, I'm going to key everything there. So let's see, the eraser has not changed since this frame. But he hits the ground. And then from here, let's rotate, rotate, rotate. We'll key that. Zoom out a little bit. Middle mouse button to move it over. So jump into the air. Bam. I think that jump in the air is too long, so I'm going to select these and just type G and move them over. This might be, just need a little bit longer. And then he's here. And we're not messing with the location. I'm just going to hit Shift D and make sure. Let's bring all these over here to a that might be too much. Key the rotation. So jump. So it hits the ground, goes back, And then lastly, let's have them go duplicate this again. Clear the rotation, key the rotation at the new location. And let's click on the last frame, type E. In fact, let's give ourselves a little breathing room. Let's go beyond the last keyframe, type E, and then just do Alt A. I feel like this could, here, hit escape. I feel like this could all be a little bit faster. So I'm going to select all, move this over to keyframe 1. Why is it on 2? I don't know, but let's move this to 1. We've got all these selected, type G. Let's move them to 1, and then type S to scale, and just try and scale it down a little bit. And then try again. Okay. One thing I like is on this frame, I think he needs to go a little bit more. We just moved those two bones. Let's key them. The actual going back probably could be a little longer. I'll give it even a little bit more drama to it. So let's just tick this over 2 frames and see what that does. I still want it to I still want it to be more. Try again. Alright, I know I'm losing my mind. I think I am losing my mind. Here we go. Yeah. All right.